Republican Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, a lover of big government, recently stated, quote, "You know what I worry about most? An unholy alliance between the right and the left. That there are some Republicans who are not going to take a, do or die attitude for Obama's war. There are some Republicans that want to make this Obama's war." Joining me now are two members of that so-called unholy alliance. Texas Republican Congressman Ron Paul and Ohio Democratic Congressman Dennis Kucinich. Gentlemen, thank you both for joining me. Congressman Kucinich, to you first. Is there a permanent war mentality in the Congress in Washington, D.C., or is it likely that sensible people in both parties, like you and Congressman Paul, will say, enough is enough? It's too costly in blood, in lives, and in money that we don't have.
The answer to your two questions is yes on both counts. I mean, there is a permanent war economy, and there is a permanent war mentality. And war is so much a part of what we do, except that it's counterproductive. It's costly. It's killing our ability to take care of things here at home. So I'm glad to work with Mr. Paul on so many issues relating to what we can do to be secure as a nation, and at the same time stop this colossal waste of money and lives, which has been involved in not just the war in Iraq, but also the ongoing effort to create a surge and to put even deeper footings into Afghanistan.
Congressman Paul, are Republicans coming to their senses that perhaps the Iraq war was not worth the cost, that it has not made us any safer? Are Republicans coming to their senses that we don't need 130,000 troops in Afghanistan chasing what the president's own national security advisor acknowledged was 100 or fewer al-Qaeda? Or are Republicans opposing the war just because the commander-in-chief happens to be a Democrat?
Well, one at a time. A small number of Republicans are coming around, but I think the Republican leadership actually is pretty pro-war. If you look at it, when they criticize Obama and say that he's doing a terrible job, it isn't because they would like to back off from some of this activity. It's because they're not doing enough. They, when they proposed spending cuts, they said, except for this militarism, for the military-industrial complex. So I would say the people, and a lot of conservative independents in the Tea Party movement, there's a lot of people there saying enough is enough. But unfortunately, we have a little bit of work to do to get more Republicans, because when we have votes, when Dennis and I will work to bring a vote to the floor, even though the majority of the Democrats won't be with us, he gets more Democrats, a significant number more Democrats being opposed to the war than Republicans. So we're still down in less than a dozen members of the Congress that are Republicans that will support an anti-war position.
Congressman Kucinich, between you and Congressman Paul and your colleagues in the Senate, it seemed to me at one point there was a majority of members of Congress in favor of auditing the Fed and finding out exactly what the heck it's been doing. And then the power elites flexed their muscles, and somehow that legislation never became law. What happened?
Well, an amendment that I was able to get through a committee was eliminated, and that would have produced more oversight of the Fed. Congressman Paul can speak to his efforts, which have really been very powerful in trying to bring the Fed to democratic control. The fact of the matter is the Fed's been a law unto itself. It creates money out of nothing with quantitative easing, and that money is then backed by the full faith and credit of the United States. It's given money to banks, which parked the money at the Fed, gained interest, and then the banks wouldn't turn around and loan businesses money to create jobs. I mean, the Fed's been a nightmare since 1913, and I agree with Ron Paul that we need dramatic changes in the structure of it.
On my vacation, I read End the Fed. It's a masterpiece, Congressman Paul. What are the chances, your book, what are the chances it'll happen?
Well, the Fed will end when the dollar is destroyed. It's not going to end because we're going to come to our senses, because the Fed is very, very powerful. But I think two things are happening. I think that the fact that we didn't get our bills passed and we don't have any significant increase in oversight shows how powerful they are. But what I look to for the future is the interest in the people and the young people and what's happening on the campuses, and they're studying and they're understanding the evils of the Federal Reserve. So I think we have made that much more popular because we've been able to work together with both on the left and the right. And I am so pleased that Dennis has not only been working closely with us on the war, but on the Federal Reserve too. So I think that's where the greatest progress has been.
Congressman, thanks very much, both of you, for joining us. Can an unholy anti-war alliance emerge between right and left? Continue this conversation on my Facebook page at facebook.com/Judge Napolitano.